how can I overcome my fear of social anxiety with clients as I'm trying to transition from an art director to a creative director? Well, the good news is that an art director and a creative director are very similar. Like, they're very similar as far as just understanding art, understanding creativity, understanding just beauty in brand. I think it's deeper, right? How do I overcome anxiety with clients? That's really the question, because they're both the same. Anxiety with clients comes from not having confidence in self, right? So you don't feel as though you're adequate enough or that you have enough technical skill. So you feel as though what you're selling or pitching to the client may not be valuable enough to them, or you've dug yourself a bit in a hole where you've overpromised too many things to the client, and now you're scraping and scratching to deliver to those things. Those are big common pitfalls in graphic design, web design, creative direction. Under promise, over deliver. Or you've given the client too many options, right? This can cause a lot of anxiety, because what will happen, like this happens a lot with logo design. You start out and you get the ideas. You're like, okay, hey, what do you want? This, by the way, is Eden's drawing he did last night. It's my little creative guy here. But anyways, you take your sketchbook or your iPad or whatever it is that you're using today, and I'm going to give you some quick advice on how to design a logo effectively, like quickly, without killing yourself for the client. And also, this will kind of lead into the anxiety with clients that I think could be effective. So let's say that I have, a lens cleaner brand, or the client is a lens cleaner brand. The first thing I always do with the client is I ask them, give me 10 to 15 words. They don't have to make absolute sense. They don't have to be perfect. 10 to 15 words that really describe your brand or what you stand for, right? So for the lens cleaner, right, it could be crystal, clear, smooth, non-stick, easy to use, simple, non-toxic, non-GMO or something like that. You know what I mean? Like things that matter to you. But they don't have to be specifically about that product just yet. It could also be about things that you stand for, right? So I'm a very big advocate for gay rights or LGBT, stuff like that. Those could be things that are very core to your heart and very core to your brand. So you could even say those things, or equality, or Black Lives Matter, or anything that you as a brand, that person as a brand, and you won't know these things. You can't know all the things about the brand. That's up to the client to tell you. What I'll do is I'll take a pencil. This is my pencil now. Pen, whatever. And I'm still old school. I'm still pen and paper whenever I do an initial sketch for a design. It's just how I work. I can use an iPad as well too, but I'll literally write down those words just in a list. I'm not drawing anything yet. I'm writing down those words in a list. Just boom, 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 every single word. Vibrant, relevant, silver, blue, any word, doesn't matter. And what I will do with every single one of those words that the client gives me, when I go back, I'm not doing this in front of them. When I go back, I'm like, okay, great, thanks for those 10, 20 words that you gave me. And they'll be like, oh yeah, cool, whatever. Because it doesn't really, your job is to pull it out of the air for them, make it exist for them, right? They know that they have, this thing that they have, but they can't bring it out of the air. Your job is to make the invisible visible, like shoo, put it there. So you write down those words, go back, put some focus music on. This is about 30 minutes, right? Whenever you do this. In every single word, I will draw a small, very quick picture for it. Just very simple thing. If it's water, maybe I'm doing like a little quick wave or something. If it's, gay pride, maybe I'll put like a rainbow or something like that, or anything like that. All the individual elements. You're building the elements. Before you cook, right, you need the onions, you need the chicken, you need the, whatever you need to cook. You're getting all the ingredients. Don't go in trying to make the logo right from the start. Gather all the ingredients. So every single word, I'll try to make a visual symbol for those. Then I'll try to highlight the ones that really stand out, the ones that probably are the most valuable or mean the most to the client, and try to mix 2 or 3 of them together, and then again and again and again. So by about 30 minutes to an hour, I'll have created, probably anywhere from 10 to 15 draft logos, just very rough, very sketchy. It doesn't have to make that much sense. I'm not focusing on type or color or anything like that. I'm just letting the flow go. Now, this is where people get messed up. You don't show the client those 15 draft logos, because that creates some absolute insane anxiety for you and the client, right? So they'll be like, oh, I like this, but I don't like this, and I like this one over here. What you do is this: you hone it in. You select 3 of those, right? So you still have 12 of those in the banger if you need to pull them out. But you select 3 of those that you vibe with. You think the client will really vibe. They're your best things that you think. And you take those into Illustrator, whatever program you use, whether you're on your iPad, whatever, but Illustrator is for me. What I typically do is I'll take a picture on my phone of the thing and literally just put those 3 photos up onto the thing, and then I'll create a little word mark, find some types, find some copy, and that is enough if you really want it to show to the client. That's enough for you to not invest that much into it, and because all you did is those sketches, 3 of those sketches. But what I do is I kind of go one little step further, right? If I have the time, I will try to design out each of those very roughly, if I have the time. Like, sometimes you don't. Or design out the one that you like the most, right? Just one of them. You still have the 2 sketchies, the pictures of them. And what you do is this. So how do you make different logos that really stand apart? This is some advice I got a long time ago. I don't remember exactly where, but you create one that is contemporary, one that is like super modern, like it's edgy, and then you have your designer pick. And that's exactly how you pitch it to them, because they may be a little bit more conservative or more just kind of like whatever, or they may be like on bleeding edge. You don't know these things all up front. You may have a sense of maybe, but you always want to present enough options so that you don't present something way far out there or way too back there. And that's what I'll do. Like you'll say this is a contemporary or this is you give each one a name too, so they can feel it. If you ever watch HGTV, they'll give like the homes names, and it does make a difference. And I'll break down the explanation as to why I believe the designer picked this one draft, why I love it, and why I feel as though it stands for them. And not 5 or 8 times out of 10, they'll go with that one. But sometimes they won't, and that's okay. It's not your job now to be like, oh man, my design didn't get picked. It's your job to just get them to the finish line. You've put in the work to come up with the best ideas. Now it's up to them to decide, but you don't give too many options. So what may happen is, can we merge the contemporary and the modern one a bit? And you're like, okay, I can do that. But you don't say, can you merge all three? You know what I mean? Like that can get really messy. That can get really weird. You give them that option if they really want to, or you give them time to kind of think about it. And it may be that, 1 out of 10 times you completely miss the mark. They're like, I really don't like those 3 options. That's when you bring out your ace in the hole and be like, hey, these are actually all other things that I thought of as well. Those are just 3. Here goes 12 more. And then you allow them to kind of see that stuff. If you have to, they'll pick something, and then you do it again, but you don't do it again and again and again. Like that's it. You know what I mean? You gotta move on. It's like, okay, you really like this design, because after that, I'm gonna pick that one. And like, yeah, let's go with that one. That's the one. You're like, that's the one? You're like, that's the one. All right. Locked and sealed. Boom. So bringing it back to our question or our thought or our whatever, it's like, how do I overcome the fear and anxiety? You've got to be straight, but you can't give too many options to the client. You have to deliver on time. You don't overpromise. Overpromise will always get you in trouble. That's my answer.